Well, the new blood so far invigorating Dignitas enough for the win, and the new blood not really showing any mistakes either in their play. More consistency than really making any huge plays. But just
it was funny in that video to hear Dignitas talking about the old Dignitas being impulsive and being and everybody doing their own thing, which is kind of what we've already seen here from Team TIP. We'll see if Dignitas have changed their ways, though.
Maybe. We'll find out in just a few seconds as we check out the starting lineups on the blue side. It will be Dignitas. That's Gamsu in the top lane, Crumbs in the jungle, Shifter in mid with Core JJ at AD carry, and the Kiwiest of kids at support.
And on the red side, it's Team Impulse with Rux up top. In the jungle, it's going to be a Rush. Mid, Xiao, AD carry Apollo, and supporting will be Adrian.
And in today's featured matchup, we'll be watching the junglers for Crumbs versus Rush.
Yeah, Crumbs, he spends a lot of time and money warding to set up the perfect counter gank and get vision for his team. The danger with that style is that, of course, if he doesn't get that perfect gank, then he's going to fall behind due to his low farm. That being said, Rush has already shown a propensity for setting up reckless offensive plays in the enemy jungle and even under enemy turrets, which Crumbs should be able to position himself properly for and be able to capitalize on. However, if he doesn't keep Rush in check, then Rush can easily snowball a game. He's already shown that he does not care about taking risks for big plays, and he wants to take over the game.
I think we saw those risks coming in a bit too often yesterday.
That's the thing. Sometimes it doesn't work out.
Xiao,
quite a
real
few
good plays in the mid lane. We already saw earlier. We'll be watching him again to try and hold that down versus someone like Shifter, who we've kind of noted to have a lower CS at the 10 mark, at the 20 mark, something to play a little bit more passive on. So that'll be a lane to watch, as well as our featured matchup in the jungle. And then obviously we have that sub in the top lane, Rux, now going against Gamsu. Gamsu played quite well yesterday. Didn't seem like he could be budged out of lane, really. But we also saw a lot of Aurelia from these two players, so that might be a contested pick. And Kiwi Kids Annie, definitely need to mention that. We'll probably see in the ban list as we enter into picks and bans.
Yeah, and as far as Team Impulse, I pretty much expect them to go with a similar strategy this time around, going for champions that can make plays themselves, more isolated plays, maybe 2-man or 3-man plays instead of full teams, because still, they haven't had time to practice with each other. They haven't even gotten their coach over here yet, so everybody should be able to stand on their own for Team Impulse.
It does make things difficult. You're not really going to get Winter Fox results by having so many, or subs rather, and not being able to get together. They were just really playing with nothing to lose. You see Impact still trying to implement those strats and make things happen the way that they will down the line with the regular lineup. Rumble Rek'Sai, the next one's out. We banned 2 of the R's out of the game. And we will see what happens with these last ones. Not too much focus towards one lane specifically just yet, but we're definitely getting a lot of comfort picks off of both teams.
2 junglers already.
Yeah.
Jarvan, of course, the main one that both these guys are probably still looking at. See if they want to actually first pick a jungler, though, would be fairly rare, as Gnar is also available. There goes Janna, though. The #1 support pick off the table.
Kiwi Kid will be happy to go against that now with Core JJ. Whatever they match up in lane, it won't be that annoying shield and disengage.
So far, Dignitas banned out Rumble, strong team fighting in the mid game, and then Janna for the disengage. Dignitas really like to have Kiwi Kid on that hard engage support. So banning out Janna is really strong for them. Kiwi Kid not showing as strong results on those defensive supports. So even though Team Dignitas our first pick, no surprise they banned her out.
I was just going to say, and I was talking to Stats last night, they said, you know, Kassadin's been banned quite a bit. Not seeing it too much. But what's your stance on that right now?
Kassadin's my go-to when I have to solo lane in solo queue.
Okay.
But they gave up Gnar for it, as well as comboed with the Jarvan. So you always have to wonder about what you're passing over. Kassadin now, especially when you're picking him early, it's fairly easy to pick something like Zed or Jace into it. You can still move Kassadin around, either to top or mid lane, but Shifter's really been the guy for that team that has shown his true love of the champion. So it's probably going to be swapped down to him.
Well, it's safety for the combination they're looking at of the engage. We saw TSM play against that Gnar yesterday, and they kind of just got to the point where they said, look, the Gnar bar is up there. Let's walk away and disengage until he's down, and they took the fights they wanted. So if you can't get yourself in the right position like we saw our big play of the day, just teleporting right in Gnar size, it's it's almost hard to get these fights engaged on a team that can keep jumping away. And so far with Kassadin, and now possibly the rush of Sivir,
all right,
and Crumbs getting Rengar, they are definitely going to be hard to catch.
Very, very clear so far from both teams. Dignitas, they're looking for those picks.
Yeah.
Extra move speed for both Rengar and Kassadin, chase people down. If they ever catch TIP in an unorganized situation, and they can easily chase down multiple kills. So really, Dig are looking to sort of prey on this TIP team that haven't had much chance to practice together, and they're hoping to pick them apart and then chase down the stragglers. TIP, though, they're running a very, very solid team fight composition right now. They're looking really scary. All they have to do is group up.
Talking about those death balls.
Kid.
To the crowd, the donger as well. A little bit of love.
Thing is, Annie is still up, and if they're looking to catch people and kill people quickly,
Annie didn't get banned. Yeah,
Annie is still a pretty high priority for Kiwi Kid. Thing is, Thresh plus Corki is difficult to run into. Sivir, though, with the spell shield, should have an easy time, no matter what support she gets. And there it is.
I was going to say, as long as Flash is a spell and Annie's up, I think Kiwi Kid's going to take it. So we'll see one more getting locked in. Is he actually going to take the LeBlanc? See why not. Shifter actually has that quite well. Learned in the solo queue ways.
Will be that top Kassadin this time around. They go with the double AP assassins.
Yeah, I was going to say, they have a lot of potential now to just blow one person up. Possibly a Cassiopeia to go against that top Kassadin if it is to be. We've seen a lot of fantastic Cassiopeia play from other regions, and it might be starting here in NA too.
Cassiopeia is a strong top laner. However, it's fairly dangerous to run her against Kassadin, Rengar, LeBlanc, Flash Annie. The one problem with Cassiopeia is that she has low mobility until she poisons someone, so she's an easy target to get jumped on very quickly. And I don't think that TIP would like to run that one.
I like all these picks that he's gone through so far. Less so this one.
I like this one a lot, actually, because Team Dignitas, they're looking to pick someone off and blow them up quickly.
It will help in
So Lulu,
I'm thinking I want to do damage. That's
Lulu, you don't need Xiao Xiao to be the solo playmaker.
You have a lot of
all they have to do now, protect the one person that did go after first. If that person survives, all you have to do, buy a little bit of time for Gnar plus Jarvan to come in. If they land that stun on these squishy assassins, then Dig will be toast.
We saw how devastating the polymorphs were on Lyssandra's yesterday as soon as she would come in. Now it's going to be on a LeBlanc or a Kassadin if they try to come in. So it might be hard for them to get the picks they want if they're going to be stuck there for a little more time as a cupcake. We do see the teams, however, now the coaches are still discussing what happens. So this point is probably like, this is what I want you guys to do early game, point of time.
So basically it's Team Impulse, play a bit safer, make sure that everyone keeps up enough wards to try and keep track of the movements of Team Dignitas. And for Dig, it's exactly the same thing. They're trying to pick somebody off. They want to control vision for exactly the same reason. We saw yesterday, Winter Fox, the team with the most decisive win, they also had Sivir and a Rengar, and they would actually even have the AD carry come help Rengar gank early on for the mid lane. So maybe Dignitas will go with that.
The Boy Scouts of the NALCS so far, camping mid. They have their camping strats down. So as we get into this game, as Jat noted yesterday, kind of through Crumbs' play, he does like to get that pink ward down. It's something we'll have to watch if he can utilize that. Allows him to, as you said, get to those counter ganks. While the teams load onto the Rift, however, send us your predictions for this match by tweeting hashtag DIGWin or hashtag TIPWin to @LOL Esports, and we'll be tallying your votes throughout the broadcast. The crowd is ready. I'm sure you at home are ready on all forms of streaming platform. And we're about to get on to the Rift. Kobe, Dignitas versus TIP as we start off this game. And let's see what they decide to do. We did get some lane swaps yesterday, and it did affect some of the top laners that are not used to it on the LCS level of play.
Let's see this time around, because Kassadin is not one of the best 4 lane swaps. And Dignitas, their squad that they're running right now, this could easily snowball very quickly and look great, and they can chain a lot of kills, or it could crash and burn. If they get behind with this many squishy assassins, then it will be brutal. Rush, though, I have to say, I think this time around, TIP would benefit from Rush playing a little bit more conservatively and placing a bit more value on his own life. rather than risking it so often. Because if he gives up a first blood once again in mid lane, then that could be exactly the money that Dignitas need to run away with it.
Well, he was kind of playing his own way yesterday. You think it was also a testing the waters to see what he could get away with and see what people in the LCS would punish him?
Well, exactly, yeah. Like I said, you know, obviously solo queue jungling and competitive jungling are completely different animals.
Got to tone it down. Just tone it down just a little bit. Xiao, usually the quiet one. Very vocal today.
Percent of what I do.
He's cracking himself up. Shifter waiting patiently. All right, so it looks like it will be standard lanes. Standard starts for both junglers.
Yeah, it's so great.
Rex actually performed extremely well, like many other subs did yesterday, I have to say. So I expect him to have an easy time up there versus Kassadin solo right now.
Yep.
I do not expect Crumbs to pull an early Rengar gank at all. He's definitely the type of guy that's just gonna try and ward up for his lanes and then farm until he gets to 6.
So not even anything pre-6. I was actually gonna
Well,
ask that.
the thing is, Rush is definitely the type of guy who will pull stuff pre-6. Here he comes, level 2 gank, Jarvan coming in after only Gromp.
Boom, you could say they rushed this gank. Oh, the flash on Kiwi Kid. That actually helps so much. For the next 5 minutes, they don't have that powerful stun that they can just rush into a fight with, and they return.
The thing is, Rush showed himself bottom, so that gives Crumbs a whole bunch of information. He can have his run of the map. However, he's just hard farming. So I guess, yeah, like we said, he's going to try and get to that level 6. Oh, he did the greedy route, but he had to use 2 pots for it. So Rengar, you can actually clear that side of the jungle. Oh, he didn't get a pull, so that's why. But he had to use both his pots. He's just trying to get his Trailblazers as quickly as possible
That he did.
for the extra income, and then clear really fast to get to level 6. Rush, though, has not changed his ways. Early action coming from him after just the Gromp. Trades his flash with Annie. It's going to reduce the effectiveness of any further aggression from Rush. So maybe now, without his flash, he will try and put more emphasis on controlling the crabs. He's returned to the same side of the map, though, and that makes me think he wants to punish this Annie who does not have flash.
They are definitely summoners up, Kobe. Looking at that lane, 2 flashes to just the flash of Core JJ and now so Kiwi Kids without any other summoners to help him get out of this one. Crumbs, however, on the bottom side, so he may be able to hover there after Krugs. Getting his own red buff here, as he said, making his way back with the Trailblazer. Oh,
well, he's trying to get a ward over there.
There it is. He got it.
So the thing is, since Crumbs did that hard farming route, if ever he's able to get in position and counter gank Rush will get destroyed. Crumbs will annihilate him.
So why is that?
Because he did the hard farming route. He's far ahead.
More powerful.
Far ahead in experience.
Right. Well, if he can find that brush around the pink ward and 1 ward towards his bottom side, it would be pretty tricky. He would definitely get himself a kill. Rush very low on his Gromp right now, so he's going to be going back. Core JJ and Kiwi Kid safe for now as he hovers up with that Pyromania stun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very surprising tactic. It definitely does work a lot more in solo queue when you go for those level 2 ganks on Jarvan. Yeah. You can see what happened, though, because of it. He was not able to buy his upgrade for the machete on his first back. His gold income is greatly diminished. His clear ability was greatly diminished. And he could have been punished right there. There's a big window for Crumbs. But Crumbs doesn't get anything done, and Rush was able to recover in his side of the jungle. Goes for the early Stalker's Blade, so he'll probably return to his ganking ways.
We do have that ping back onto top side. Not back on, just towards top. I don't know if that was Rux's or that was Rush saying he was coming up. But it does look like Rux is about to gnaw out, so he may not actually come up here as that's going to wear off as he gets his own red. So, just wait for their hanging out his red. Did he not get it yet? Is he actually that slow in his jungle? Wow.
So what happened? Yeah. That's what I was talking about.
I was just kind of realizing it right as he gets up here.
His blue side, because he didn't have enough money to upgrade his jungle item.
There we go. That's the Gnar going down, focusing on that bar and making sure they get there at what would be the safest point to attack. Crumbs is now going to show himself, which doesn't really help Rush, but allows him to stay safe and possibly get a counter here as Crumbs is going to walk blindly towards this Tribe Rush.
Rush is headed over, and he did have the bush advantage, but only gets the flash out. Good flash by Crumbs, though. That was definitely necessary. If Jarvan lands the EQ and gets the slowdown, it'll be rough for him to get away. Basically, though, Crumb's only going up there to help shove so Kassadin can get a base without having to lose position in top lane.
So neither team able to get too many deep wards in or invade the jungles. They're kind of biding their own time getting to that level 6 as we saw before, especially Rush now that he is behind. A level 5 on Crumbs, but it looks like he does want to try to hit mid, and everybody is alerted to this. Pings from both teams.
They're just copying Winter Fox's strategy.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no flash on that Annie, so there's definitely no danger. And TIP, that pink ward definitely paid off. Now they find it. But this is exactly what Winter Fox did. They had the Sivir come up with the support and gank for the mid lane at the same time as Rengar. This time, though, Crumbs was not level 6. He had 3 camps up, and as a level 5 Rengar waiting around mid, I think it was just because they had the perfect timing for bot lane to roam. But Dignitas, those tricks, everybody saw that yesterday, not just you guys.
Right. Yeah, they were really able to shut down the Azir, take that game into their own hands. We've been seeing it a lot more, so teams looking at each other's textbooks here, taking a few pages out. Not making it work that time, but they did blow Xiao's flash, so they can come back to that if they want. He is now level 6, so Wild Growth still there to keep him safe in lane. It's 55 to 50, so he doesn't have as much as a lead as he usually does. Shifter's actually been doing a great job, even forced up to the turret in that lane.
Did they replace that pink ward in the pixel bush, or did they just Dignitas never even clear it?
I'm going to say replaced.
I'm going to say replaced as well, because he was standing right on it.
Majority rules.
But it was definitely a good ward, and they need that one there. 4 repeat ganks.
So push up in the bottom lane, 65 to 46. Apollo actually is not something we've really looked at here. That initial hit on this lane from Rush has affected them somewhat here. That CS is now... Oh, I thought he was going to get all those, but he did not. This is going to allow Crumbs to come up. It's not going to push up far enough, so he may actually go for the ult, and the hit here could be a level 6 soon for Kiwi.
The thing is, TIP saw Rengar hit level 6. They should have their Thresh back.
No.
Playing very, very far up.
I was going to say, that was a little janky as they both went in at different times. Wasn't expecting much out of it. Just a flash from Adrian, so a little messy there as they try to go in for the gank, predicted.
Yeah, it was one of the things. Crumbs, he did get his level 6 pretty early because he soaked minions in mid lane. But whenever you actually hit your level 6 in that mid lane soaking minions, the enemy team should be very well aware of it. And in a Thresh lane, all that you have to do is play with your Thresh behind your AD carry, and it's much easier. All you have to do is click the lantern immediately. With an Annie, though, it's the right idea for Dignitas. They can lock you up. Chain that CC with the Bola as well as the stun. Sometimes they can take out an AD carry from 100% to 0.
And Dig has been working on all of these options. As soon as Kiwi Kid got that back, they tried to make it work, but they're not really going in the way they want. Everything's kind of going in Tip's favor here. The gold lead is just in their favor by a little bit. Now First Dragon will be theirs. 9 minutes into the game, Team Impulse has pretty good control of this map right now.
Yeah, and it's going the way that they want it to go. You know, fairly calm in the early game here. Rengar did not get his first ultimate gank off. Only burned a flash for it. It's exactly what TIP wants. Get to that point in the game where they can group up as 5 and use that Gnar ultimate to win them the team fight.
It is really nice to be able to stop that first gank so Rengar just doesn't return to lanes repeatedly, as we saw yesterday. Keep ganking over and over. We'll see if Dig decides to do some more roaming here. The bottom lane, they're trying to push up. It's still evened out, but they do have Adrian and Apollo backing, so they can get themselves some mana. Pretty calm game, as you said. First Dragon to Team Impulse. Shifter trying to put the first bit of aggression onto Xiao, but there's going to be pretty much no kill potential here in the mid lane. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep their win streak up here. The beginning of the season is always theirs, so if they have the confidence to keep it going, maybe we'll get another biggest win streak of the LCS. Have to beat C9 now.
I also do like how Rush has stopped his ganks after the first one where he got behind Rengar a bit and he had to burn his flash. He didn't overextend again. He didn't mindlessly keep on going for them.
That's true.
He went back to farm up the jungle, try and catch back up, help out more with the defensive wards. And now he's back on pace, got his warrior enchant.
Yeah.
And he has the burst that he needs.
There was definitely a lot of nerves and excitement coming in yesterday. We even saw tweets from Core JJ saying, you know, I was so nervous and excited, but I am happy that we did get a win out of it. But sure these guys have to think about the mistakes that they made, and it weighs hard on them. Their first game, they're on the stage, this first time people are cheering, and we've heard a lot of players say how much that impacts the game. Possibly first blood. It's been 11 minutes. Oh, Tibbers! Adrian found Tibbers, and they are going to be getting first blood in the bottom lane. Kiwi Kid picks that up with CoreJJ.
So the gank from Crumbs eventually allows bottom lane to get that kill. Thresh no flash, and Tibbers is able to burn him down slowly. I believe they were using their pink ward as bait in that tri-bush. We just didn't get it quite on camera. And Annie is the AD carry that will punish, or is the support that will punish you when comboed with Sivir. Really easy to hit that boomerang. Got both of them in it, and Kiwi Kid plus CoreJJ, as you were just speaking of him, have a great opening, getting that first blood.
It always feels better. Talked about it a little bit yesterday when Bjergsen got his first blood. It just kind of puts you on that edge where you feel right to make plays, and you'll still go in. I'm sure we'll see Kiwi Kid going for more of those plays. If you can't get it out of a flash, he'll bait you with a ward. He's playing very dangerous here, but he has core on his back. So we're going to take the time to get this one cleared out. What? Kiwi Kid is playing with fire here, literally. Xiao, what a bait in from Dignitas here. Impulse walks right into the trap. That could be a finished off rush. Nice play back by Adrian, and Apollo low on mana. He's going to have to back out of this as well. Rux trying to throw the house down, and Gamsus have to force a rift over the wall. Very good pull in there from Dignitas. They got the picks they wanted it. Impulse kind of walked right into it over and over.
Yeah, I would have been a little bit more afraid than TIP were right there. Versus a Rengar, when Annie's got her stun charged, Rush just charges right at her. This guy does not back down from anything. It does cost Xiao his life because he was there trying to back up Rush, but 1-for-1 trade, and not too detrimental for TIP.
It's one of those instances where you got to say to yourself, this Annie doesn't look like she gives a care in the world that she's in my jungle. There's probably somebody else next to her.
Rengar ultimate down, though. That does buy them a pretty big window. This level 1 on Rengar ult buys you a much bigger window. Crumbs is waiting for something to go down here on the backside of this red, though. And he's fully charged Ferocity.
Pretty much everything they want when they want it. Ethereal Chain missing on that one, though. Rush with the fancy feet. Very nicely. Oh, but it's Kiwi Kid. Don't forget that he's always there. Once again with the Tibbers.
Yeah, going right past once again through the mid lane. Not the safest of route.
Walking through.
But this is the reason that why we said you have to be worried about this Dig team snowballing. They have so many different sources of damage and CC available to them, because not only is their support sort of a mage assassin, but their jungler is also an assassin. Both their solo laners are. They have plenty of damage if you give them the opportunity.
Oh my gosh. And this is the cohesive unit we talked about, right? They come at you from every angle. Crumbs was already in the jungle. They're now initiating another fight. Gamsu's here from top lane now. They are always where they need to be as a team right now. This could obviously change, but they're hitting it spot on for the time being.
Dig doing a good job trying to control around mid lane.
They're going to lose top here.
So as the top turrets start falling down, we're going to see TIP naturally grouping together more, just because there are less lanes for them to farm. So top going down and mid under pressure, this is the time where the team composition here for TIP is going to come together. Yes, Dig had success so far picking people off, but TIP are going to be grouped so much more now with 2 outer turrets down. This is really Rux and Rush's time to shine.
Time in the game really helping to cause the swing on that one, as they now can group out of the laning phase. 18 seconds on to Dragon. Top laners, actually teleport is equally down on both sides. Let's see what happens here. Pretty far out. Tibbers is going to be up probably for the fight, and CoreJJ is already in the bot lane. You see Impulse getting their blue, readying for the Dragon. This would be their second. Definitely be great for Dignitas to be able to pick up number 1 here.
Yep. Dignitas so far, after all of the picks that they've gotten, they have not been able to push any objectives because they've used all of their resources getting those picks in the first place. TIP, though, as long as they set a vision around this Dragon, should be able to force here, because there's no teleport for Kassadin. If Crumbs goes for the steal, then he's gonna die for it. So not gonna take that chance, and TIP get number 2.
Not terrible. We've seen and heard a few Dragons can go to the wayside.
Well, this is the thing. the team with the team fighting team comp is the one that you hook!
Full ferocity. He does have his ult back up. Is he going to use it to get out of this one? They absolutely pile everything on. Rux is here. He just goes back to Mininar and adorably kills Crumbs.
Yeah, so TIP grouped up. That is a very scary thing. Not only do they get Dragon, but the last of the outer turrets goes down. They should be able to control the entire map. And if the team with the team fighting team comp is the one that gets control this early in the game, and they're the ones with the Dragon stacks, then it's really, really hard for the team that's oriented around picking people off to come back. Because TIP can continually force those fights at the Dragon, since they're encroaching on that ultimatum of 5 dragons, we're going to win the game. It really puts Dig in a hard choice because they can't continue to give them up so often, but they also have a really hard time team fighting these guys.
Dignitas fans still behind him on this one with the latest push of Team Impulse in their 3 kills. 26 to 23,000, 24,000 just about as well. And we've seen a little bit of it. We've seen them play off the ball of an objective, but big objective fights where Dignitas would kind of fail their lead or something. We haven't seen this new Dignitas team approach those objectives in a late game, so it'll be interesting to see how they take that as well. So far, giving up the dragons, but we've seen the team still come back from a situation.
Uh-oh.
Crumbs, wrong spot, wrong time. Rush, the little tiny flag and drag there. Will they get the right spot? Can he get the rocket? Nope. It's going to be a dodge out to the right. The poke. Cannot get it down. The flash still is Gamsu is acting as a human shield, taking a bullet for his friend.
Yeah, still get the flash out of Crumbs though, and that's going to be very detrimental for Dig because they are going to rely on Crumbs to take initiative and find the pick. They need his ultimate. They need that infrared vision to find somebody who's out of position and then try and capitalize on it so they can.
That could be big. The catches. Once they're at the turret, now they're coming greatly from Adrian. These hooks are hitting very nicely, being at the right spots to flay or find Crumbs. He cannot get himself into a flank position. And this could be hard for them to get the picks they want if they can't get around Impulse here.
Yeah, well, we will look for Impulse to increase their ward coverage. Ooh. Stun still lands.
Oh, slow. Ever so slightly, they are able to squeak out of that one.
That is a mid-game Trinity Force Corki, able to defend his mid laner right there. So Apollo, once again, showing up big. By the way, he had a strong performance yesterday. So, you know, change of names, change of teams. Definitely good new look here for the artist formerly known as Wiz Fusion.
I think it's a good change. I mean, your name's Apollo Price. That doesn't suck.
Yeah, it's his actual name. Why would you have a...
There you go. All right. Slowly putting themselves back in a position. Impulse tries to make their way to the mid lane. At least 2 here. It's going to be Adrian keeping safe Xiao Xiao. They have great wards across the map right now. All the way pushed up past the blue buff. They haven't warded anything towards the red side because it's not necessary.
Yeah, they're doing exactly what they need to. Get their vision down so they don't get caught out. It's such a scary thing, playing against Rengar plus Sivir when all this extra damage that they have, including the Annie, who does have flash up, by the way. Anybody on any side of the map could be the target. If that squad comes running at you, then it's very difficult to escape. So you need a really early warning system.
Yeah.
Bottom side, though, looks to be the target. Dignitas coming out of their own jungle might be able to pull this one off. Full ferocity stacked up off the red. They really want to make this move.
Yep. And we see Rux coming on your stream. Mega Nard out. Maw of Malmortius. And a Warmox. Noticing the double AP comp that he's going up against. Figured that would be a better buy.
Warmox is actually gaining a lot of popularity, especially from junglers now, because junglers often sit on one defensive item for a really long time. And Warmox defense against... Well, here they come.
Oh, that's going to be the ultimate. One more time for Kiwi Kid. How far can this fight go, though? Crumbs goes down. The kite back is great from Impulse on this one. Kiwi Kid can't get out now. And that Cataclysm absolutely zoning and blocking the team in. Beautifully done Impulse with a near perfect, actually a perfect fight there. They didn't get the ace.
They
get out a little scratch.
They make it look really easy there. You can see the reasoning behind that Lulu pick right here. Jumping onto Apollo, Crumbs had no chance to take him down. There wasn't much focus from Dig. Not all the damage sources could take down one person. they just got completely annihilated there. Easy CC for TIP to land, and that's the inhibitor going down very quickly.
What a night and day difference instantly from how this game was going. Dignitas was all over the map, invading the side of Impulse for 10 minutes to 12 minutes, and then Impulse said, let's group. Let's add our power together and crush these turrets, and it has worked perfectly.
Let's take a look here. So, 4 members of Dig here. Sivir wasn't even there. I feel like they pulled the trigger just a bit early. They didn't have the Sivir speed boost, so Crumbs was pretty much the only person who could get back to Apollo, and Xiao Xiao had a very easy time defending Apollo, peeling for him, ulting him, so he was never in any real threat, and it just looks so easy for them to defend right there.
Looking at that top turret, we see Gamsu have to walk away. That's another thing you got to look at. Unless these guys can approach a turret pretty much with Impulse off the map, it's going to take a while for them to take it down.
That's the thing. As Crumbs, you can see his decision making there. Their turret was about to go down, so you have that feeling. Oh, I need to engage this before
That's
our
like
turret
always
goes
the last
down.
minute when you go.
Yeah,
You
want to save your turret, but your teammates are not in position, then you just can't do it. Yes, in an ideal world, you want to be able to go right now, but if your teammates aren't in position, then you have to abort.
It's unfortunate. That's a hard call, man.
It is. It goes against your intuition.
It's a battle
You're
with
like,
yourself.
That's what draws people to say, "Oh, why aren't you here?"
Nope.
But it doesn't matter why they aren't there. It matters that they aren't. All right, so that's another dragon, by the way. That is the speed boost. Oh, that is going to be huge.
So from what we saw from Dig yesterday, and firstly, what we saw from Impulse yesterday, this is very impressive for Team Impulse.
Yeah. They've got their 1 game of practice in. They got their game
calibration
yesterday.
game done.
They're able to figure it out. Everybody's on the same page this time around. A little bit of early game aggression, but then very solid play. They knew that they had the squad that just had to group up. Teleport coming in.
And he's almost Nard, and he is Nard out. That's a perfect time to come in, and that's Crumbs against the wall. Just a few more shots. He almost can't move out of this one. He was trying to get out the gate, but Rux said, nope, you're coming back in. They're going to be on to Shifter now. He's trying to just at least distort out if he's not waiting on the cooldowns, and Rux was already able to make him do that himself. They are going to be able to take out inhibitors. Kobe. Team Impulse impressing here in Game 1, Day 2.
And they won on the back of team play. So there you go.
That's so true.
This is a very good sign for TIP fans already this early in the season, able to pull it together.
Righting the wrongs and fixing what's broken very fast. Way to patch up the problems. Team Impulse coming up with a win here on Day 2 of the North American Spring Split.
And that was a danger for Dig that we warned against with that team comp. So did not quite work out for them. Not able to snowball the early pickoffs.
So I think with the assassination pick comp that they had in Champion Select, I should say both teams, they got great picks. But to the Gnar, Jarvan, 1-2, first rotation going in for Impulse. That was, I think, pretty much sealed the deal.
Yeah.
That created so many opportunities throughout the game.
Yeah, especially if you run a team all based on damage and CC, then timing is of the utmost importance.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to have split seconds in between your initiations, or any amount of time between the CC stacking, or you have no tank to soak up any damage and your team just sort of crumbles.
So pretty much different champions across the board as we look down. Rush did get Jarvan again. Adrian on Thresh. Apollo played Sivir yesterday, so these guys did have to mix it up to come in for the win today. They didn't try to fall back onto Comfort. It's good to see. Coach can come around and make the right decisions as well.
Bodes really well for the future of this team as well. Their coach, by the way, not here for the first week for TIP, so they had owner stand in there. Coach said that he was going to, guys, just have fun the first week.
Yeah.
You know, work out the kinks, get some time playing together. And
Say they did.
when I come over in the next week, then we'll clean it up and work on step 1.
Yeah.
So far, good job for that team.
Very much so. And looking at Dignitas, not a terrible game. They found initiations that they wanted. The composition still worked. Thinking that the Annie would have pretty much sealed the deal, and they got that in Champion Select. Not so much. Impulse played around it very well, understood the window of when Tibbers was going to be up or down, and they took it to him very hard. Straight to the turrets. Once they could start grouping out a laning phase, Impulse showing much correction from yesterday's gameplay all around the board as well. Everybody played very strong, and I think it came a lot from Rush, because that was a bit of a weight that pulled the team down yesterday. You saw Xiao getting kills in the mid lane, up 20-30 CS, and Rush was like, all right, I'm going to make a play here. Xiao's like, all right, I'll make up for that kill. No, I'm going to make a play here. All right, I'll make up for that kill. And you can't come back from that if it happens over and over.
There are definitely still some things for both teams that they both need to work on cleaning up. But overall, very solid performance.
That's right. We've got Jat standing by on the winning side with a team member of Impulse.
Thanks, Riv. And I'm here with Apollo, or formerly Wiz Fusion, but now back in the LCS. First off, congratulations on the win. And secondly, you guys look pretty happy after that one. How does it feel to get the first win as a team here in the LCS?
I mean, like yesterday was obviously pretty shaky for us, especially going against Team Liquid. But you know, it's just going to take a little bit of time for us to get used to each other, and so it's exciting for us to actually prove that we do have the potential to become a good LCS team.
And did you guys do any type of re-strategizing or reflection after the tough game you had against Team Liquid to move into this one, or was it more of the same?
I think it was just like shake it off. It's fine. It doesn't really matter. We just play what we're comfortable with, and then just after because we didn't have that much practice to begin with, so it's just play your comfort picks, and then we'll just do that.
Yeah, and I mean, you're already able to take down Team Dignitas with a substitute, just playing comfort picks. So what does the future hold for you guys, do you think?
Once we start working with a coach a lot more, and we have obviously Impact coming in too, things are looking good.
Yeah. Final question for you. Since now you're done with week 1, finished at 1-1, what does the next week of practice hold, do you think?
A lot of scrimming.
For once.
Yeah. So I don't know, just playing together, communicating a lot more. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Apollo. Congratulations on the win. And let's send it back to the guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you, Jat. Team Impulse getting a quick 24-minute victory there. I mean, that is much faster than our games yesterday, and a lot of that has to be attributed to the early lead that they managed to get themselves in their lane phase.
Yeah, a lot of that was off of Rux in the top lane on that Gnar, having about 30 CS up, got that first turret, and it was only really a Seraph's Embrace that was or Archangel Staff that was made onto his lane opponent, Gamsu there, didn't go for the Catalyst, wasn't able to stay in lane and had to constantly back. And then Rux went bottom, didn't even have to blow his TP, and showed up just out of nowhere. So they kind of negated all of the roams that Kiwi Kid had made.
Have to question that build path a little bit. The early Archangels. I don't know if it was a desperation move, knowing how far behind he was, saying, well, I have the tier, the quickest way to get AP is to upgrade it and take advantage of the mana. That's the only justification I can come up with. I don't agree with it.
I don't either.
Because then he's getting blown up. You've got LeBlanc and Cassidy getting blown up in team fights.
It's not really how you should play the Kassadin in the top lane. It's kind of one of those guys, you sit back and you're okay with being 20 CS down because you know you're Kassadin and you're going to do things later on.
Well, but of course they got capitalized on. That's the problem, right? Turrets went down, roams happened, Team Impulse. One thing I wanted to look at the beginning of the season is, hey, all the returning pros, or just anyone who's coming back, how well are they going to do in the beginning of the new season? And Xiao, specifically, you talked about, hey, who's getting early leads? Xiao won as LeBlanc against Lulu back when they played Team Liquid. Then here, he's Lulu against LeBlanc, beats up Shifter on the reverse matchup, right? This guy is clearly keeping his game at the top tier. He's beating up on everyone he's playing against so far. And these are both very good mid laners he's facing. And plus, Rush not getting penalized for his early aggressive plays, Rux winning his lane and bullying people out on Gnar. This is what this team wanted to do against Team Liquid, and they did it here.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good team composition for them. The fact that they got the Narvin combo, but also the fact that the Lulu was locked in versus the LeBlanc and Kassadin is going to do a lot of work for you, because that is a pick-oriented composition, and the fact that you have a Lulu who's going to wild growth somebody, who's going to give them that shield, and we saw that later on, is extremely effective, even if you're behind. But Xiao, and he had a CS lead in that match.
I do have to say, I liked the fact that they went for an early aggressive level 2 gank on the bot lane.
Yeah, that's cool.
But then on the side of Dignitas, I'm disappointed in the fact that Dignitas didn't do anything in the way of countering that. There was an opportunity there to go into the red side jungle and counter jungle while, all right, we're sacrificing a flash from our support in the bot lane, but we're gonna put this Jarvan behind. Didn't happen.
Exactly, and when Jat was here, we were kind of discussing it amongst the four of us about the things that were available. Right, so Crumbs could have easily walked into the northern jungle, stolen a red buff, okay, there's no wards to put down. If this were 2 to 3 minutes later, you'd have even more things to gain by this jungler showing up and having to basically immediately recall. So the invade was a possibility, and they didn't even try. In fact, Team Impulse actually pinged their own red buff, saying, by the way, he's probably here stealing this. No one rotated. They were as aware as a possibility. Impulse was like, yeah, we got to give that one up. We're too low on health. We don't want to give up a wave in our lanes just to check our own red. And they said, yeah, that's the cost of this gank. And that wasn't even the penalty after all. So this entire game's kind of felt like Crumb's not taking advantage that he could have had. It just felt like there were so many opportunities to go and make a play. There were a lot of preemptive defensive flashes. There was one, he was like well out of range of Corki. And like, there's also someone in the way to tank the missile, and he flashes away anyway. There was when Gnar fought him at like level, not Gnar, sorry, Jarvan, yeah, fought him at level 5 in Upper River. Like, repeatedly we're seeing Crumbs like just make really, really awkward decisions, and it's hurting Dignitas.
He did have a really good one where he went bottom, and he got the flash, and then Kiwi Kid was able to capitalize on it later on, which rewarded them some kills. And I think that Kiwi Kid actually showed some really good plays on Annie there. Like, a big thing about Kiwi Kid showing up in the mid lane was, it was like, all right, so Riv was talking about when you see an Annie by herself, you're usually like, oh, she's baiting, unless you're like, oh, it's just Kiwi Kid being Kiwi Kid again and getting caught out. That's like some next level stuff right there, right?
That's
like,
true.
You're just like, if this player has a reputation for getting caught and that player knows it, he can use that to his advantage and bait people even harder than he normally would have.
He's playing the long con. Kiwi Kid knows what's going on. He's like, 2014, I'm gonna get caught all the time. 2015, all baits.
Going to Worlds on the back of baits.
Going to Worlds on the back
I like
of
that
baits.
theory. I mean, I do have to say that the game was a lot closer in the early stages of the game, in that we had those roams from Kiwi Kid, and I thought they were relatively effective there. Yeah. But credit where credit's due. Keys to victory for Team Impulse. One, laners all ahead. Rux in the top lane, Zhao in the mid lane, and then in the bot lane, we saw a 20+ CS discrepancy between Apollo and Core JJ. I mean, then they took that lead and they actually capitalized upon it. They made something of it. Let's look at item builds. I want to specifically look at the fact that they built a front line specifically to deal with the composition that they were against.
Yeah, I loved it. So it's bittersweet because half of this is just Rush being rushed and he's going to buy this item anyway. But Hex Drinker Jarvan was a great choice. Hex Drinker, and then going all the way to Maw of Malmortius on Gnar as well was a great choice. The fact that this is an item that is roughly gold efficient just on tank stats against magic damage, provided you're going to get the full value of the shield. And it's essentially like 25 free damage. That's kind of how the math works out. You're facing double AP. They don't spike very early on. Sivir's not a big threat early on either. And you get to have double Bruiser that is as tanky as they would normally be by building a Giant's Belt, yet also dealing meaningful damage, which lets you snowball a 25-minute win like they did. Really great play. I would say half of it was conscious by going Maw on Rux. Half of it is Rush being Rush, but hey, it worked out here.
I also really like the Warmog's pickup there on the Gnar, because he gets the bonus HP and the bonus HP regen from being in Mega Gnar form, and also it multiplies the magic resistance that he had from the Maw of Malmortius. So it made him pretty much a little tankier. If he had gone for Randuin's, it's kind of wasted stats at that point because Core JJ wasn't doing a whole lot, and the 500 range of Sivir is completely zoned by the composition they had, and the fact that you have a Lulu just for defensive things on top of everything.
Absolutely. We do have a replay that illustrates this a little bit, just kind of the coming to fruition of power there for Team Impulse. Irene, I'm going to let you take this one away. It's 20 minutes into the game. It's this fight really well illustrates, I believe, how far ahead TIP was in this game, and illustrates how their item builds allowed them to counter Dignitas effectively.
Yeah, and a little bit of the composition is coming into fruition here too. We're going to see Crumbs try to dive the backline of Apollo. He actually gets a Valkyrie away as the Tibbers comes in onto both Adrian and Apollo, but Apollo gets out. And then he gets ultimated from Xiao, and you're going to see them kite backwards as Rux and Rush hold the front line. But Rush is still kind of undurable at this point, so we're going to start rolling the clip out, and we're going to see Rush isn't actually punished for his item build. They get the turret as this starts, but you can see there, Crumbs keeps going on Apollo, even though he got the back line. He gets the wild growth, and look at this, Rush, Adrian, they're all causing this zoning line, so nobody can get to Crumbs. He's easily picked off in that fight, and then they continue. Everybody's flashing away from Rush. He's like, I'll lock up Core JJ, while everybody starts coming in from picking up that back line. It's essentially a 4v5 because Crumbs overextends and because Apollo isn't caught out at that starting point where the Tibbers came down.
Very solid exhaust as well onto Shifter there, basically, ensuring that there was no possible way Apollo was going down. And then, of course, you're only 20 minutes into the game. Triforce Corki is going to turn around and start, raining hellfire on the team.
And good on them to make team fights happen, right? 20-minute sieges, we saw Team 8 pick Corki against CLG, and they got 3 out of turrets and then waited around for these burst casters to scale on up, the Lysandres and whatnot. Here's Triforce done on Corki, we've got Lulu at 1 completed item, and we're we're freaking fighting a Kassadin who does nothing at this stage of the game. Let's group up as 5. I dare you to Tibbers us. We're just better than you right now.
Yeah, and
they pushed.
Yeah, and another thing that I want to bring up there is since we're taking kind of like stock of dragons, they had 2 dragons at that point, which gave them the turret pushing power, which allowed them to kill that turret before the fight started, and allowed them to get both the inhibitor and the inhibitor turret off of that fight.
Right, and that's what you want to do if you have an early game sort of bit of extra power, is it's not enough to just get the dragons. You have to get dragons and turrets in sync. The fact, as you said, that they had 2 dragons, that should be rolled into what you're already acquiring, which allows you to push into that second layer. Again, a great sort of perfect storm for these guys. A well-played game. I'm glad to see them play like this, and they're going to be even scarier with their full lineup.
I was about to say, let's take a look then at the fact that this was a 23 and 58 second victory, 24-minute victory, right? Very, very decisive. There's no way you can come out of a victory like that and say that they didn't play it well to some degree. And this is with Rush coming in last minute, right? So he's still adjusting, trying to move away from that solo queue play style a little bit, be more in tune with his team. I think in talking to the coaching staff, right? That's one of the things they're efforting is to make sure that like, hey, you can still be aggressive as a jungler. I think that's one of the
great.
most positive characteristics of him as a player. But let's find a way for this to fit into the team, right? Now when they get their full roster together and they have the time to really practice, do we see this roster being one that shoots to the top of the standings?
I thought so initially. When I heard about all these roster additions, and again, I really believed in Adrian and Apollo in the bottom lane, I think that's still going to be, they're going to hold up. Right? I think the All-Stars are still Xiao, and Rush, and Impact, but the bot lane will hold up. I don't think they're a detriment. I've heard comments that they are going to be bad. I don't think that's true. So I do think this is going to be one of the top 4 teams in NA by the end of spring. That's my prediction, is top 40% at the very least. You've got, of course, other tough competition up there. And yes, they will continue to improve. I would say a slightly easy start for them here, right? They're facing, I would say, kind of faltering teams. But yes, we'll see them get even better as time goes on.
Yeah, I definitely say top 5 for them. I think they're up there. It really depends because I think Rux is actually a really good player at what he does, and the fact that he came into this team and he's just very consistent in the top lane. He shoves turrets. He'll show up to the team fight. Impact has a little bit more of a pushing, showing up to the team fights a little later. Actually already being in the team fights to start it. I think he's a world-class player though, of course, but I think that Rux isn't too far off in terms of his play style. But I think it's just definitely going to level them up.
All right, so yeah, hopefully it won't be too much of an adjustment going from Rux to Impact.
And hey, it proves how good Rux is.
And Rux doesn't do this, but Impact does, where he just shows up mid lane. Granted, he was with Faker for a long time. Just shows up mid lane like level 4, and you're like, what is he doing here? And they get a kill.
It's pretty great.
I have to say, Rux played fabulously. It was a great addition. It was great to have him in as a sub. Congratulations to TIP on that victory. It does bring them to 1-1 for the first week. We do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, Team Coast will be looking for their first win, rather, as they face off against Winterfox. Game 2 is coming up after this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go Rux.
We're going to get the day going with our first match. It's Dignitas versus Team Impulse. Kiwi Kid is playing with fire here, literally. Xiao, what a bait in from Dignitas here. Oh, that's going to be the ultimate one more time for Kiwi Kid. How far can this fight go, though? Crumbs goes down. The kite back is great from Impulse. And that's Crumbs against the wall. Just a few more shots. He almost can't move out of this one. Team Impulse coming up with a win here on day 2 of the North American Spring Split.